Ladies and gentlemen of the PNM, starting with the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, the Honorable Mayor of the City of Port of Spain, the first citizen here, distinguished members of Cabinet, distinguished members of Parliament, Honorable Senators, members of our PNM family, members of the Media Corps, listening Trinidad and Tobago, paying attention tonight. I come to you on a serious matter, and I intend to be very straightforward. We have just heard an excellent presentation coming from Marlene MacDonald. She spoke to things that are not really carried, but in fact have been done. She spoke to the work across the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, where this government, having reduced costs, having eliminated the largest of expenditure which was unexplained, has managed to carry out the people's work. The newspapers of our country, the talking heads, the fake news purveyors, don't want you to focus on that. They preach doom, they preach gloom. Even though right around us in Trinidad and Tobago progress exists, landmark projects are being carried out that have never been carried out. Diversification of a kind that you have only heard about, you are now seeing. But God forbid that that story will be told. You see, having come through a very tough economic position, making hard decisions, the UNC believes that all they need to do is waste a little bit more time, drown you in negativity, preach fake news, invent maps that don't exist, spread news left, right, and center, because what they're trying to do is to buy time. And the best way to buy time is to make sure that you interrupt things, including legislation, that could make a difference in our country. So let's start quickly putting the pieces together. The largest issue facing Trinidad and Tobago after crime, after the appointment of a commissioner of police who finally says, the buck stops with me, after that issue of crime, it's corruption. Corruption takes food off your plate. Corruption does not allow you to buy medicine, to receive medical treatment, to have your roads fixed, your potholes fixed. Your children lead a better standard on public service transportation. Have a safe city, have cameras everywhere. Corruption is the cancer that holds our country back. And our government entered into a very deliberate plan that said, listen, the manner in which the battle against crime and corruption has been going in our country, prior to this government, every single government before us just did a few things. Raise the offense for kidnapping, raise the fine for gun possession, raise the fine for drug trafficking, increase the penalty in terms of number of years. That's effectively what the laws of Trinidad and Tobago for years were dealt with. Sunset clause, who get in bail, who not get in bail. You understand what I'm saying? We came in and we said, we're going to tackle two things, crime and corruption, in a very different way. We said to the country, we're going to make improvements to our criminal justice system. We're going to speed up the movement of courts by giving us more judges, more courts, specialist divisions, rules of court, masters of court, judge-only trials, plea bargaining. We're going to take 102,000 cases out of the magistrates' court that are clogging up the system in traffic violations and offenses. We're going to make crimes summary crimes. We're going to merge the jurisdiction of the criminal court by making judges able to do magistrates' work and vice versa. You know what has happened? We, this government, have opened new courts. We have implemented rules for the first time. We have dealt with over 400 prisoners in fast-track maximum sentences. We've increased the judicial complement by 77%. That's phase one. Well at work, achieved and being achieved. Phase two resides in work, including that in Parliament tomorrow. Because we said we are bringing a package of laws to treat with corruption in a way that nobody else has. Those laws are a package of laws. And one of those laws is the Income Tax Amendment Act, the bill to amend the Income Tax Act. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's true we have some international obligations. It's true that Trinidad and Tobago has to comply with 3 international things. Number 1, the Financial Action Task Force. Number 2, the Global Forum. Number 3, FATCA. And in treating with those international obligations, we are obliged to carry out the work of governing Trinidad and Tobago continuously. You see, the UNC as a government went to the Financial Action Task Force, told the world, the 190 members of that group, we are going to be the first country to be assessed in mutual evaluation in 4th round. Anand Ramlogan committed us to that. January 2015 came, they assessed us and they said we failed the vast majority of items. They gave us a list of laws that we needed to look at. And more particularly, they said you not only need to have the law, but you need to have the proof that the law is working. That's Financial Action Task Force. In the Financial Action Task Force, they said you not only have to pass some laws, but you have to do it in a time frame. And the time frame is that you, every quarter, twice a year the Financial Action Task Force, and twice a year the Caribbean version, you have to attend before them and say, I'm going to do this, this, this. Now the UNC knows this, you know, because they committed us to that. And the deadline for the amendment of the income tax bill has to be communicated to the Financial Action Task Force tomorrow, November 30th, 2018. This is not new news. This was the subject of umpteen press conferences and parliamentary statements and speeches by all of us. There's another one that I mentioned a while ago. That's called the Global Forum. The Global Forum is an international group of 154 countries. The UNC found it fit in 2010 to put us under peer review. In 2011, on the 4th of October, Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar said, go and sign up for the Global Forum. They signed up. You know, they like trip. Larry Hawaii gets on a plane, he goes to Berlin, he finds himself on a holiday, he gives high-level commitment. 2011, 2014, he finds himself there, October 28, 29. Fancy thing. Trinidad and Tobago are going to pass law. We are going to exchange information. We're going to amend the laws. They come back home. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar says, no, let's put it in 2 cabinet notes that we're going to amend the law and we're going to implement the Global Forum standards. 2 cabinet notes. In doing that, they committed this country to signing and operating 13 versions of FATCA. So you remember in FATCA, we had to sign up with the United States of America on an intergovernmental agreement. We had to agree to exchange information between the Board of Inland Revenue and the Inland Revenue Authority in the United States, the IRS. That was big drama. They're not passing FATCA. We went to Parliament. They're not passing it. They want joint select committee. They shift the goalposts. They say no sharing of information. Eventually, in 2017, we passed FATCA. Global Forum requires 13 versions of FATCA. So 2 years ago, I warned the country that Global Forum was coming. I reminded of what I just told you, and I called it FATCA on steroids. That's what I called it, to show you that it was something that was much larger than FATCA. The UNC makes an allegation that this government, what have they done? Why have they waited so long? Let me tell you what we did. We went to the Global Forum. We said to them, we understand that we did not do the 13 treaties. Can we do it in a faster way? They said, yes. You have a fast track process that you could use. You could sign on to a multilateral treaty, and that will allow you to exchange information with everybody who signed that treaty. So you don't need to go and amend 13 agreements and bring them back home. We said, fantastic. We sat down with them. We drafted 3 pieces of law, which they helped us draft. The first one is the Income Tax Act, the amendment bill. The second one is called the Multilateral Convention legislation. And the third one is called the Tax Information Exchange legislation. The Tax Information Exchange legislation is like the FATCA. The multilateral treaty legislation is very complicated. I'm going to come to that in a second. And the income tax amendment is very simple. The Global Forum came to Trinidad and Tobago, worked with the government. We asked them to go and talk to the opposition. They went to the opposition and had meetings with them. They sat down and they agreed, okay, to get you out of this Global Forum thing, lay your bills in Parliament. But we want one bill only, which is the Income Tax Amendment Bill, to allow you to sign up to the treaty. Now this treaty, which I told you, the multilateral treaty, it has changed in the course of the last couple of months in particular and year. And the Global Forum has now introduced into that something called special zones. They want us to get rid of free zones. They want us to put in special zones. And that's a very complicated issue for a small country like ours. Panama makes its money how? In a free zone. Right? So when you're a small market like us and you're fighting for space, for somebody to tell you just give up a free zone, no. Takes a little time. That bill is over 140 pages long. And they said to us, look, if you pass the Income Tax Amendment Bill, we'll allow you to sign the treaty. And therefore, you will not be non-compliant. Ladies and gentlemen, I received from the OECD, that is the group that has the responsibility. It's called the OECD Secretary General's Report to G20. Buenos Aires, Argentina, December 2018, because it's for this 2018 position. The report coming from the Global Forum has all of the 154 countries, and ladies and gentlemen, there is a black line in the table that has one country listed in it, Trinidad and Tobago, non-compliant. It's at page 32, black line, one country out of 154 countries. This is not a secret. We've said this many times before. The UNC knows this. The meeting to report to the Global Forum was held on the 20th to 22nd of this month, last week, in Uruguay. And they give you a 1-week time frame to say what you're doing. So their deadline to know what we are doing is tomorrow. Is tomorrow. What does this bill say? I started off by talking about corruption. I started off telling you about how we intend to tackle crime, because the best way to find crime is not only the guns and the people who are holding them or the drugs, the excellent work that the Commissioner of Police and Minister of National Security are doing together. If you find the money, you catch a lot more. You catch a lot more. So let's get to the Income Tax Amendment Bill. It's 10 clauses long. This Income Tax Amendment Bill went to the Parliament May 25th, 2018. May, June, July, August, September, October, November 29th is today. Laid in the House, sent to a Joint Select Committee May 28th. Meetings in June, July, August. All I know a fella named Wade Mark. He could talk while paint drying on the wall. You know that fella? Wade Mark decides, I'm tired. I need a vacation. I'm overworked. He and the rest of the UNC senators and members of parliament decided that they will boycott the parliament and not meet July and August. They needed a rest. So, we get to parliament, June, then we get back in September. November, ladies and gentlemen, the 2nd of November, we go to debate the report. We received a minority report. We have this report. We met the income tax bill. We made some amendments. The Global Forum gave us amendments to the bill, but didn't give it to us alone. They gave it to the UNC too. We came to debate the report. We get a little minority report from a little fella named Saddam Hussein. Fellow who said this law applies to Cuss case. We get a minority report, and when you look at the thing, the only thing that it says is, go and use the South Africa law. Let a judge tell you if the police could get some information. So the income tax amendment bill has 10 clauses. The 10 clauses, first clause, the name of the bill. Second clause, you need a 3/5 majority. Third clause, the act means the Income Tax Act. Fourth clause, amend the long title, amend the name of the bill. 4 clauses, nothing. Clause 10, 9, 8, 7 are cut and paste exact replicas from FATCA. Remember, we had a Joint Select Committee on FATCA. We had debate, FATCA come in, FATCA not go in, FATCA there, nothing will happen. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, replica from FATCA. Clause 5 is the existing secrecy provision for Section 4. And Clause 6 is just describing the offenses. So Clause 6 is no big deal. If you breach the law, you have a crime committed, you're going to jail, you're paying a sanction. So Clause 6 is nothing. We left with Clause 5. Clause 5 is the heart of what I started with. Delay. Seeing the writing on the wall. Understanding the criminal justice system is now working in a way that they never thought could ever happen. Litigation in the courts with information, landmark decisions in the Court of Appeal produced in corruption matters in the civil arena which say you're entitled to get information. A landmark decision was had in our courts that say you can get financial information from the banks on people's wrongdoing. Writing on the wall? Right. Knock, knock, as Minister Rambarat says. So let's deal with Clause 6. Clause 5, sorry. Hear this. Clause 5 is very simple. It says, give the Financial Intelligence Unit information. It does not require a 3/5 majority. to give the FIU. You know why? Because the FIU is a written law that already allows them the authority to get information, and they're bound by secrecy. Every country around the world allows their FIU to get information. Stick a pin. The FIU last year discovered $22.5 billion in suspicious transactions in this country. You know what that means? People were trying to take money out of Trinidad and Tobago or hide it. The FIU says that is bank fraud, counterfeit checks. Listen to this. Under the category of fraud and forgery, transactions totaled $13 billion in fraud and forgery, suspicious transactions and activities. Here is one. Fraud and forgery for 2016, $6.5 billion. So you understand why we want the FIU to get this information. How are they going to do the work if they don't have the information? Global Forum says give it to them. FATF says give it to them. FATCA say give it to them. And we in the PNM say give it to them. Not only give it to them, give what we have to them. Meaning, come and check Faris Al Rawi. Come and check Keith Rowley. I'm going to say who else said give it to them in just a short while. Second one. Here this one. Big problem. Big problem. They have a fellow named Botiwari. All you know him? He was on television the other day. Him. This bill is vague and nebulous. I'm not quite sure. Lacks clarity. One thing I'm sure about is Dr. Tiwari make a smart son. Because Nirad Tiwari, his son, appeared in public the other day, and I asked him a question about the bill. I said, Mr. Tiwari, with the greatest of respect, can I ask you a question? Do you think this bill is vague and nebulous and lacks clarity? You know what his answer was? No. His answer was that it's perfectly clear. And I give him compliments for having a character of his own. I'm sorry to draw the relationship between the two, but I'm just telling you that as the president of AmCham, as the representative for the American Chamber of Commerce, the younger Tiwari thinks the bill is clear. Clause 6, 5-6. The bill is proposing that you can get tax-paying information given to the Trinidad and Tobago police involved investigations of a financial nature for fraud, for offenses under the Proceeds of Crime Act, Anti-Terrorism Act. We, acknowledging that the UNC said, look, let's give a judge the decision to do that. We said, okay, no problems. We will put a judge to supervise that. And in fact, I propose certain amendments that will be, you go to a judge, you make an application, and the judge is going to tell you yes or no. Now, the reason why the bill didn't have the judge the first time is because the international agencies told us no judge. Why? Other countries right here in the Caribbean have no judicial supervision. The police come and they get the information. Right? No problems. Because the Proceeds of Crime Act right now has an application where you could go to a judge under Section 32 of the Proceeds of Crime Act and get a production order, and they'll give you the taxpaying information. The international assessors looked at that and said, that ain't working. Because you have nothing to show for it. Because remember, they're not only looking at whether you have a law, they want to know if the law is working. And we have no cases to show it's working effectively in large numbers. So we said, put in the judge. No problems. We went to the Parliament, 2nd of November. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa disappear as usual. They say they want joint select committee. They say they're not voting. They say all kind of things. We say, all right. sit down with us and talk. We adjourned the debate. We waited 21 days. Up and down writing, Kamla Prasad Bisesa can't find her for love, no money. Right? The Honorable Leader of the Opposition, 12th of November 2018. Right? Again, November 19th. We went back to Parliament on the 23rd of November, last week. You know when we get a letter from the Leader of the Opposition? 1:48 p.m. on that day. Parliament start 1:30. She sends a letter to us 1:48 p.m. I see them pushing a piece of paper by the Minister of Finance. He passed it to me. I said, but this can't be the letter. This letter was due 6 months ago. In the letter, here it is. We ain't agreeing to nothing. We need this bill to go back and meet two other bills. The two bills I told you about. But I just told you that the two bills, one is 130 something pages plus. It has that big special zone issue about free zones. The other one is the tax information exchange like FATCA. And the Global Forum told us and told them, don't worry with them too. Just do the income tax amendment and you could sign the treaty. Taking you out of that one line of non-compliance. We go through the committee stage and Kamla Prasad Bisesa says to us, joint select, joint select, joint select. We say, okay, we're going to do a special select committee. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who watch the Parliament and want a little clarification, after you do the debate, you take the bill and you put it into the committee of the whole of the Parliament. 41 people sitting down in that Parliament in the House. And those 41 people get to examine every line, every bit of information concerning every single clause in the Parliament. And the rules are you're supposed to submit your amendments into writing. So, May 25th, 2018, November 2nd, and November 23rd, not a scrap of writing comes from Kamla Prasad Bisesa, SC, MP. I add PP, because she will not put her position in writing so that you could know what she's actually saying. And what happened next? We came to the point of saying, okay, you want a committee? You don't want the 41 people in this house to decide it. You only want a few people, because there's only 6 people in a special select committee or 12 people in a joint select committee where you bring in the senator. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa say, no, I need a committee. We stopped. We said we will do a committee. Ladies and gentlemen, so we gave her the judge supervision. We said to her, okay, let's go to the committee. Guess what? Goalpost change again. I ain't coming no committee now. Because I, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, need to have a senator there. Let's line up the UNC senators. Wade Mark, Khadija Amin, Obika, Anita Haynes, Saddam Hussein, Gerald Ramdeen. So those 6 people, one of them is so critically important that they will not come to a committee. Mind you, they have members in the house, you know. Munilal have a law degree, he's a lawyer. Prakash have a law degree, he's a lawyer. Kamla is senior counsel. Ganga Singh is a lawyer. Vidya Gopi Singh is a lawyer. 5 lawyers. Let me tell you, Ganga Singh acted as Attorney General in this country. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is a past Attorney General of this country. Munilal acted as Attorney General in this country. Prakash Ramada acted as Attorney General in this country and was the chairman of the Law Revision Committee, established to draft the laws that come to Parliament. Kamla ain't happy with none of them. Saddam Hussein, case man, has to come and sit on the committee. So let me tell you what we did. We went to Parliament. We had to party by ourselves because they refused to come. So we decided, you know what? We're going to call a public sitting. Who came to the public sitting? The Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. All the bankers in Trinidad and Tobago had an association. They came. The American Chamber of Commerce, the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce, the European Ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Financial Intelligence Branch, which is the division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Board of Inland Revenue, the specialist from the Ministry of Finance that sits with Global Forum, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, the representatives coming from the FIU and a committee called NAMLAC. NAMLAC is this committee which includes Director of Public Prosecutions, law enforcement agencies. All of these people come. We receive commentary from Euro Chamber because there's a European Chamber. Every single representative and person that spoke publicly, and I'm talking only publicly because I won't go into any report, everybody to a man and to a woman said they have no problems with the bill. We went through clause by clause, issue by issue. Everybody has no problem with the bill except Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Question. I wonder why. I really wonder why. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the laws that articulate with this and that we consider are important, here are the laws. Proceeds of Crime Act. You know what that act is? That is the piece of law. Sections 44 and 45 of that law have something called money laundering. You know what money laundering is? The evidence of money laundering is to be found in the $22.5 billion that the FIU told you they found as suspicious activities and transactions. Proceeds of Crime Act. The Securities Act for the trading of shares. Only remember the IPO scandal in FCB? And certain people run away from that issue? What do you think the Securities Act treats with, ladies and gentlemen? The Insurance Act. All you hear about CLICO busing, CLF, taxpayers, DPP has a report. You hear about the Integrity in Public Life Act? How about the Prevention of Corruption legislation? Misbehavior in public office. Ladies and gentlemen, anything that treats with financial issues crosses all of those laws that I've just mentioned to you. They deal with the core concepts of fraud, dishonesty, and corruption. And if you reached a place where after 6 months, the UNC can't tell you up to now, not only what they think their problem is, but what the prescription is, what will make them happy to solve it. If after 6 months, they can't tell you. If after 6 months from a joint select committee, they tell you they want a joint select committee, they get the committee, but they don't turn up. Ask yourselves why. Does it have something to do with the Commissioner of Police saying he's about to reorganize, as he announced, a financial investigation division in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service? Does it have to do with something by the fact that the court system has been reformed in a way that no other government did? Does it have to do with the other laws that are about to come to the Parliament? Ladies and gentlemen, the consequences of not passing this law are very clear. They were put out into the public by all of the stakeholders who came forward. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow will come. The sky won't fall immediately tomorrow, you know. The Financial Action Task Force and the Global Forum say to you, listen, you're not playing in the game. Keep your sovereignty. Talk to yourself. You can't do no business with us. And this ain't no highfalutin business for rich people bill, you know. You know what this is? Your food. What's our food importation bill? $3.3 billion roughly, 2.7 billion. All of your food from the groceries. Listen, we think doubles is Trinidad and Tobago food, right? Yeah, you know where the ingredients for doubles coming from? China and Korea. Doubles is not local food, you know, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have the money to buy the chana and the flour and the oil, you have no doubles to eat. So that's food. When you go to the medicine and you go to the hospital and you go for your heart medication, your diabetes, you go for your child to get treatment, largely for free in Trinidad and Tobago. Where in Trinidad and Tobago they making medicine? Where? Where in Trinidad and Tobago are they making cancer treatment drugs, diabetes control, pressure and heart medication? Where? Western Union, money transfer. When you have your family abroad and they want to send you a little money because they're working hard in a foreign country, well, how are you sending that money if they close off your banking relationship? You see, Scotiabank called this once death by 1,000 cuts. Anya Schnur, who was the head of Scotiabank, called it death by 1,000 cuts. Ladies and gentlemen, she said it in the FATCA debate. It's the same thing here now. So Kamala will say tomorrow whatever she says, but when she says it, don't expect midnight, country shut down. But bit by bit, as your transactions start to take weeks, months, or not at all to happen through, and you can't get medicine, and you can't get food, and you can't eat doubles, and you can't get money from your relatives, you can't pay for your children outside. Go where she live in, somebody says. I wouldn't encourage that. What I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is be prepared. You see, you have a political leader, a prime minister that don't make joke. You have a government that don't make joke. Understand the game. The game is stretch them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up quick, but let me say this. I take certain issues close to heart. One of the personal commitments that I had and the Prime Minister allowed me to push forward, and my cabinet colleagues, I wanted to abolish child marriage. The government agreed and the government said we're going to abolish child marriage. My colleagues said it is abhorrent for a 12-year-old girl to be marrying a 55-year-old man, as has happened in this country. And we have the marriage certificate to prove it. My colleagues in the PNM said enough is enough. What the UNC said? No. We had to remove the special majority clause from the bill, and they say I'm a strategic attorney general. And they castigated me and the government for that. So ladies and gentlemen, if they will play the fool about child marriage, what you expect them to do when you have a lot to answer for? Because the days to explain your wealth and the days to have the inland revenue have information that could assist the taxpayers in recovering their money via the police, not by any government. The government does not have the power to charge people. You see, those days are potentially too close for them. So ladies and gentlemen, the PNM has 23 votes that will be present in the House of Representatives tomorrow. The UNC has the key to delivering this result, And I want PNM voices, as I know they are capable of saying, shouting, chiming, agreeing, to join with the Bankers Association, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the American Chamber of Commerce, the Bankers Association in their other forms, in their individual entities, the DPP, the Central Bank, the Securities Exchange Commission, the Board of Inland Revenue, the 190 countries in FATF, the 154 countries in the Global Forum. Those voices are more than 2 members in a joint select committee and 1 senator from that bench of 6. They can't all be wrong. I thank you for paying attention to serious business. This is not Faris Al Rawi, Dr. Keith Rowley, Fitzgerald Hines business. This is the business of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We will do our part. We will continue to fight. We will do the work. We will be ready every time. Stand up and let your voices be heard, and I thank you.